everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I want to show you how to crochet flower/butterfly. This project is for advanced beginners level. So in order to make this project, you will need the following items. You will need your selective yarn. As for myself, I have chosen this lovely yarn. It is a mixture of cotton and acrylic. For this yarn, I need crochet hook F, 3.75mm crochet hook. I'll also need scissors, stitch marker, sewing needle, and if you choose to actually decorate your final product, feel free to use some pearls. I have also here these very gorgeous buttons, or you could use snaps or any other items that you prefer. Now, in order to make a bigger flower or butterfly, then you'll need to use a yarn that requires a bigger crochet hook, while if you want to make a smaller flower or butterfly, then feel free to use a yarn that requires a smaller hook. I would also like to mention that this pattern is using US crochet terms. So let's begin. I'd also like to mention that if you prefer to have the written pattern, you can find it in the description box below. So let's start. This is round 1. Have your selective yarn and the required crochet hook, and start by making a slip knot. Next, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Keep in mind that this does not count, so your 4th stitch should be this one. Now let's go ahead and make a slip stitch into the 1st stitch, just here. Just gonna pull a bit on this other end, and I'll just try to make pull this a bit so I can get to the center. That's the center, just so you can see better. So don't confuse the center with this. This is where you've done your slip stitch, so make sure you don't insert your hook in there, but right in the center. For round 2, we're gonna be making 8 single crochets into the center of our work. So just in the center, insert the hook, pull the yarn through, this is 1 single crochet. Insert the hook again in the center, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is how your work should look like. Now we want to go ahead and close in that gap. So use your other part of yarn, the small piece, and just pull. And as you pull, you can see how that's closing in, just like that. We're gonna pull a bit more once we've done the slip stitch. But before we do a slip stitch, we want to count and make sure that we have 8 stitches all around. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was our 4th, 5, 6, 7, and this is our last one, which is 8. So that's fine. We have 8 stitches all around. Should I put my hook through this side? Okay, and now we want to slip stitch into the next stitch. So just insert your hook. It's a bit tight, but you will go through. Bring the yarn through and pull it through. And now you can pull in again just to close in that small gap. There you go. That's how your work should look like at this stage. Now let's go ahead and do round 3. But before we're gonna do round 3, it's a good idea to actually grab your stitch marker. So have your stitch marker and just insert your stitch marker in the same stitch where your yarn is coming from. So just this one. It's a good idea to use stitch markers because then you will know exactly where your last stitch is. It will prevent errors and it will make your work easier. But it's your choice. But personally, I prefer to use stitch markers, especially when I'm working in the round. Okay, now for round 3, we need to do 2 single crochets in every single stitch all around. Our next stitch is just this one, so nothing here. Don't worry about this part. This is where your yarn is coming through. So we're gonna start by making 2 single crochets into this stitch. So just insert your hook and just 1 double crochet. Then insert the hook in the same stitch and make another single crochet, just like this. Now go ahead and into the next stitch, which is just this one next to the other one. Insert the hook, pull the yarn through. That's 1 single crochet, and into the same stitch make another single crochet. So go ahead and make 1 single crochet make 2 single crochets in every single stitch all around. We are just reaching our last stitch, so remove the stitch marker and into the stitch where the stitch marker was, go ahead and make 2 single crochets. and your work should be looking something like this. Feel free to pull a bit more on the other end of yarn to close that up even more if you want to. At the end of this round, you should have 16 stitches all around. Take your stitch marker and insert it again in the stitch where your yarn is coming from, just there. And grab your hook. And now we are ready to begin round 4. Okay, so for round 4, we have to make 2 double crochets in every single stitch, starting with the first stitch, which is just this one next to where my yarn is coming from. So to do a double crochet, just yarn over your hook. So this is the stitch right next to my work, just this one. Insert your hook, pull the yarn through once and twice. So that's a double crochet, and we need to make another double crochet in exactly the same stitch. So insert the hook again, just like that. Now we'll go ahead and make 2 double crochets in every single stitch all around. My next stitch is just this one, so again, yarn over the hook, one double crochet and another double crochet in the exact stitch, the same stitch. Next stitch, one double crochet and another double crochet into the same stitch, just like that. And now continue to make 2 double crochets in every single stitch around. Now we are back to the last stitch. Again, remove your stitch marker and we're gonna go ahead and make 2 double crochets into the last stitch. Okay, so your work should look something like this. At the end of this round, you should have 32 stitches all around. So insert the hook back into your work and make a slip stitch right in this last stitch. Okay, there you go. Your work should look something like this. Okay, so now we are ready to continue with round 5. We no longer need the stitch marker, so we can put that aside. For round 5, we need to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And next we need to skip 3 stitches, so skip 1, 2, and 3, and in the 4th stitch, which is this one, insert your hook and make a slip stitch. Oopsie. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. And again, before I go on, I just wanted to show you, by doing that, that creates a loop, and we need to have 8 loops all around. So next we're gonna chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 3 stitches, so skip 1, 2, and 3, and in the 4th stitch make a slip stitch, and that's how you create the second loop. 1 and 2. So continue this all around the circle till you have 8 loops. I'll show you that again. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 3 stitches, skip 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th stitch, insert the hook and make a slip stitch, and then you have another loop. So continue to chain 5, skip 3 stitches, and into the 4th stitch make a slip stitch, and then continue this all the way around. Okay, so now that you are right towards the end of this round, we're gonna chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 3 stitches, skip 1, 2, and 3, and into the 4th stitch, which is also the stitch where you started round 5, just insert the hook, bring the yarn. Okay, so just make your last slip stitch, just like that. So at the end of round 5 you should have 8 loops all around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For round 6 we're gonna go ahead and make 8 double crochets in every single loop, starting with the first loop, which is just this one. So yarn over your hook once and insert the hook into this first loop. So insert the hook into the loop, bring the yarn through the loop like this, and bring the yarn through once and twice. So that's your first double crochet. Go ahead and make 7 more. So that's your first petal taking shape. And now if you observe right between the petals, there is this stitch, just this one, in this stitch that actually is in line with just before you start the second loop. Insert your hook just underneath that stitch, bring the yarn through and make a single crochet just like that. And now go ahead and make 8 double crochets into the next loop. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now again, just between the two loops, just underneath the stitch, insert a hook, just there, and make a single crochet, just like that. There you go. And now go ahead and continue to finish the rest of the petals. So next, what you need to do, you need to make a double crochets into the loop, just like we have done in those two, and then you need to do one single crochet just in the stitch between the loops, just there. So go ahead and do that. Now that I finished all my petals, I'm just at the point where I need to do a single crochet. So again, just in that stitch between the loops, insert your hook and make one single crochet. So your work should look something like this. So you should have 8 petals all around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we're gonna go ahead and make round 7. In round 7, all you need to do is just make one single crochet in every single stitch around the entire flower. So for me, this is my next stitch, just this one. So insert the hook under the stitch and make one single crochet, and then this is my next stitch, single crochet, next stitch, and continue to do one single crochet around the entire flower. Once you reach this area, don't forget about this small stitch that is kind of hiding in between the petals. So this is my last stitch that I worked in. Don't jump to this stitch. Make sure you just open the flower a bit and insert your hook under this stitch and then this stitch, and so on. So continue to do one single crochet around the entire flower, making sure you don't forget about those small stitches right in between the petals. So I'm pretty much done. I've done one single crochet around the entire flower, and now just to show you how to do a slip stitch. So as you come across your last petal and you've done the last stitch on your petal, again in the stitch between the flowers, just insert your hook, bring the yarn through and make a slip stitch just like that, and that's your finished flower. So this is where the exciting thing comes in. You can actually leave your finished item to be as a flower. You can put a button or a pearl or even a snap right in the middle of that of the flower, or you could just leave it like that. So you can of course leave the flower as it is, or if you want to, you can go ahead and turn this flower into a butterfly. All you have to do is just, as you have the flower like this, just pull the yarn a bit so that it doesn't come off. So before I go on, if you were to leave your work as a flower, you'll just pull the yarn, take your scissors and obviously cut off the yarn, and then just pull the yarn through and wave in your ends, and then your flower will be finished. But if you would like to actually turn your flower into a butterfly, don't cut your yarn just yet, and you'll soon see why. Just pull it through so it doesn't come apart. So take your flower, and then this is the back and this is your front. So turn it with the back facing you and fold it in half, such a way that the yarn is kind of in the middle of the butterfly. Let me turn this way so you can, and then just fold it in half. And as you can see, you have a butterfly. Now, to make sure that this sits nicely as a butterfly, you can actually have to do a few more things to it. So that's why I said do not cut the yarn. So insert the hook back into the yarn, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this hook, and we're gonna be making, but before we do that, actually I think it's better if we just insert the hook just under the stitch right next to your so this is how my hooks is, so just into the next stitch, just the one, see, because that's how it should be sitting. So just insert the hook right next to it, right to the, so this is the stitch where my yarn is coming from, so just right next to it, insert through that and in through the other side. Make sure you're grabbing, wait, I think I put this in the wrong way. This is the, make sure that you're inserting your hook into both sides, this one and that one, and then pull the yarn through this other side, and then make a single crochet just like that, and then go ahead and we'll start making 15 chains. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 and 15. Now that we have made the chain, just make sure that this is, see how it should all be in line, this with this and this with this, just like that. Grab this chain that you've made and bring it around this side, making sure, I actually think I prefer the chain to be a bit tighter, so I'm gonna reduce mine to 13 stitches. You could leave it to be a bit looser, but I prefer the butterfly to be a bit more tighter. So once you have done that, insert the hook again through both sides bring the yarn through. So in other words, I just lost that. Make a slip stitch and just cut your yarn. And pull it through. And then of course just fix it up a bit. So this is your butterfly. What you can also do, you can just sew these together and then just press it down to open it up a bit, just like that. And you can do the same on this other side and then just open it up, just to give it a more 3D shape. You can of course add pearls. You can put a pearl here and one here. You can leave it simple. It's really up to you. Just wanted to show you some other ones that I've done earlier. So making this flower and the butterfly, I've used a smaller crochet hook. I think was 2.75 because it was a thinner yarn. So you can see I've used some pearls, and this is a snap. I like to use snaps because I found it actually safer, but of course it's up to you. You could also use a button or just leave it plain. So you could use this flower to attach it to a garment. You could even attach an alligator clip, and this is the, as you can see, the different size in butterflies. For this one I've used a bigger crochet hook, which was this one. This was 3.75, and for this one I have used 2.75. So you can see there is a difference in size. So for this butterfly, again, I've added some pearls. I've added some pearls down here, and I did go ahead and stitch that in place. And that one, I feel that the butterfly keeps its shape better if you do that. So there you go. I also like to mention that you could even use fold over elastic. And what you could do, you could just use some elastic. I'll just quickly show you that. And you could just have it like a headband. You could even give this as a set to a baby or to a small girl. You could do many things with it. That's some more fold of elastic, so you could just attach it like this. So yeah, there's many possibilities that you can use these butterflies or flowers. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you can enjoy making these flowers or the butterflies. Thanks again for watching, and see you again some other time. Bye bye.